Hi, welcome to our Community Access. I'm Terry Stiles, and I am with Riva Beatty. And some Oxford people that are from Lake Orion might know who she is, but she is the lady on the lake, is what I like to call her. Riva, welcome to our Community Access.
Oh.
I'm thrilled to be here talking with you today.
Oh, thank you so much.
So first of all, we'll explain, you do the boat tours on Lake Orion. So many of us have wanted to get on those tours, and we've talked to people that have been on those tours that love them. So we'll talk about that, how you got started with that. But first, let's talk about your upbringing. You were raised in Lake Orion, right? So you kind of take ownership of the history here.
Yeah, born and raised. I've just kind of moved around the lake just from one end to the next. And so 40 years now I've been on the lake. I'm celebrating my 15th summer. From this idea that started with some girlfriends and a bottle of wine, and it sounded like a tour guide, and we put an ad in the paper to see if there was any interest, and there was so much interest that in the beginning I actually had two boats the first time I did it at once. My mom did one tour and I did the other. And I heard later on that hers was more of the gossip tour and history, but mine was strictly more history and business.
Mm-hmm. So how did you learn all that history, just from growing up on the lake?
Well, yeah, you listen to stories, and being the only gas dock on the lake, I learn a lot of things from customers that just come in for gas, and then they start telling me stories. The minute that I started doing these tours, the most rewarding part for me was the year that I started it. There were still people from that time period that had grandparents or parents still alive, and would bring them on board, and I would hear stories firsthand. I'll never forget, there was a lady that came on my tour that was 100 years old and rode the roller coaster, stayed at the hotel. Met her husband at the amusement park, and she showed us her original cottage on the lake.
So talk about connecting with the past. You were actually being able to live that past through them.
Yeah.
Back up a little bit. Your parents owned
Orion Marine. It's right off of M24, soon to be developed into something else, but it's got a long history going back to before the turn of the century. It's always been like a convenience store or a bait shop, gas station for the lake.
One of the very few. I know that Galloway's was off of Central, and then your mom and dad's place. So you absolutely were raised on the lake, so you must know people all over the lake, right?
Yeah.
It was on Sunday mornings, you could tell whose boat was driving by, right?
Oh, yeah.
The sound of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you still today.
And that's how you got the love of history, or we talked a little bit, you had a rough start with history.
Yeah, so just kind of a funny story. In high school, I really wasn't as interested as I am today. I actually got caught skipping class, my history class in high school. So not to do anything bad, but just to go to both lunches so that I could sit with my friends. But I kind of regret that now. Just kind of a funny story, but I've actually had some of my teachers on my tours, and they can't believe that the quiet one in class is now doing public speaking and driving the boat at the same time.
Yeah, so what did it take to push yourself to do that? And first of all, you had to know a lot of history, or you had to be confident that you did, right?
Well, it was off to a rocky start. My boyfriend at the time, now he's my husband, he actually drove the boat, and I did the talking. We actually took turns talking because I was so nervous. I was reading off of 3x5 cards. I feel terrible for whoever was on that first tour. They need to come back. But it definitely started off a little bit rocky. I learned as I went. And I was actually pushed to do more research because I would hear snickering comments in the back.
That's not what happened.
Yeah, or this is everything that's in the Lake Orion history book. So I actually would go out further and do more research by reading the old newspapers that are on microfiche only, or driving to libraries across state, going to antique shows all over the state. So I've really been able to connect with a lot of preservationists too in the Detroit area.
Nice.
I'm working on another tour right now, a prohibition tour, and there's so much to prohibition. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into.
And that will be throughout the state, not just in this area, you mean? Are you focusing on a certain area of prohibition?
So it'll be just Detroit related, but Lake Orion played a big part in prohibition because we were so close to the railroad and the trolley. It gave the gangsters a good hiding spot with so many islands on our lake.
Yeah. So talk about what you talk about on the tour. So how does that go for those that have never been on that tour?
A lot of it is, it's very personal. I've been on other boat tours where you're just listening to someone talking to a microphone.
Right.
You're seeing artifacts and photos that you're not going to see in the history books. I search high and low for things that nobody has. In fact, my collection is so big, I could probably do 3 different tours. I could probably do a coffee table book, an artwork line. There's all kinds of ideas that I've got going on right now. But the biggest thing is the photographs. I mount them into scrapbooks. I scrapbooked in high school a lot. And so I've taken that and put it into my books. I went to school for graphic design, so a lot of these photos, they need restoring. So, and I don't change them too much, but just fixing lighting and cracks and things like that.
So we talked before, you belong to you look for postcards that'll give you that information, right? You travel around for
primarily,
postcard shows?
yeah, primarily is postcards and reading the messages on the back. If you can read the handwriting is just a nice gift as well.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. And that comes up during the tour. And then
Yeah.
do you also talk about the homes? I know they've changed a lot.
So the sad part about what I do is a lot of the original homes have been torn down. I would say we're down to about 20 or 30 original cottages still on the lake. I think they did a count back in '95 and there was about 40. If I had to take a guess, probably 25 or 30 still left. But yeah, there's a lot of historical homes still on the lake to be able to point out at least. And I've still got original photos of those, yeah.
And there were some famous people on this lake, right?
So not too many. There was rumors, so that's why I call it history, folklore, and lies.
Oh, I like that.
There are some lies, some tall tales about Lake Orion, and I do address those on the tour. Just with like Jimmy Hoffa rumors and things like that. But there was a lot of cool people that, celebrity-wise, that would vacation here, but not necessarily had a home here.
Oh, okay. Can you drop any names?
Some entertainers that would come into town in Detroit to do shows. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, things like that.
Well, Hoffa did live in Lake Orion. We could address that, but certainly not on this lake. But it wasn't too far from here.
Right.
On Buckhorn, wasn't it?
Square Lake.
Square Lake.
Yeah.
Off of Clarkston Road.
Yeah. Yeah, he did keep his boat here on our lake, so that's why he was seen a lot on Lake Orion. That's why a lot of people think that they just assumed that he lived on this lake.
So he knew somebody that lived on the lake.
Apparently he did, because he rented someone's boathouse for his Chris Craft. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of Chris Crafts on this lake, I remember, in the 60s.
Yeah.
For sure. Before the boat races, and there were boat races on the lake people don't know about, the sailboat races.
Yeah, we had all kinds of, we had the sailboat races, hydroplane boat races that the boat club used to put on. But being so close to the Chris Craft factory, Chris Crafts were big in Michigan.
Yeah, they sure were. Yeah. And you hardly even see them now, unless you go up north to the boat show in Hessel.
Yeah, they're hiding around. I would say we've got a few on this lake.
Do you?
Yeah.
Wow, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Wow, so the Purple Gang also supposedly came up here for vacationing in the summertime.
Yeah, the Purple Gang, they love Lake Orion because they could, get here easily from Detroit, and they had a lot of good hiding spots with all these islands that we have still on our lake.
So how many islands are on the lake, or is that countable?
So if you read the sign, it said 21 islands and peninsulas. If I count today, I still only count about 16. So I think some of them are islands. Some of them have been connected and created into peninsulas now by land bridge. But
Right, of course, right.
but yeah, there's still about 15 islands.
So what does it look like to go on the tour? What do people have to do to book the tour?
So
How far in advance?
yeah,
How does that go?
I always suggest like booking as far in advance as possible. I don't do tours in the rain just because I do have so many beautiful artifacts. I don't take a chance with that, but what we'll do is we'll just reschedule.
Can you have, how many, what's the limit of people?
Oh yeah, I would say 12 to 13 people.
Are there snacks? Do you bring your own?
Oh, yeah.
BYOB? How does that work?
Yeah, so you'll pack a cooler, and alcohol is even allowed within reason. Just keep in mind it's only an hour-and-a-half tour, so there are no pit stops on the tour. But I pick people up from Greens Park, and you're allowed to bring your cooler and just pack whatever snacks. I try to keep snacks to a minimum and make it more about history, not about eating. Yeah. But there is a great time on the other side of the lake where we take a break from the scrapbooks to keep your hands free for having snacks and cocktails.
But no pit stops.
Correct.
Okay. And then going
About
back
an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, hour and a half, that's quite a tour actually, hour and a half. Going back to the islands, there's also bays, and I think there's a lot of people that don't know this, but the bays have names, right? Do all of them have names or no?
So it's funny because there's even like new names that are popping up that locals are just like starting to name them things. But yeah, I would say pretty much every area on this lake has some type of name just so that you can identify where you're at with your friends.
Okay, because that's a big lake. Do you know how many acres? Or
it's about 600. Yeah, it's about 600 acres.
Okay.
And we actually started off as 6 lakes. And they built a dam in the early 1800s. They flooded all those lakes, combining it into the shape that we have now. So
and that's the dam that you see from downtown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, be in the background at Bitter Tom's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nice. You go for a tour and have your little snacks and then go to dinner downtown. It's
Yeah,
so close.
absolutely.
That's where people are picked up and dropped off, right?
Yes, Greens Park.
Is right on 24.
Yeah.
Or Flint and 24.
Yeah.
Okay, and then is there certain days that they go?
So I would say it's more weekday based. As more active as our lake gets, it makes it harder for me to do it on the weekends. Trying to navigate the tour and have so many distractions going on. It makes for a hard tour for passengers to even concentrate with so much going on around. So I'll do morning tours on the weekends, but about just evenings during the week, all day.
Do you have to wait till your whole boat is booked before you have a tour? Like if I wanted to go on a Thursday night?
So that's actually a great question. The way that I used to operate my tours was you would book per person. And since COVID, people were doing activities as a family and things. And it actually worked out better for me because the whole tour is booked. But not only that, everybody knows each other on the boat. I think it makes them more comfortable.
That's fun.
I do host a few open seated tours is what I call them during the season. You can subscribe on my website and get put on a mailing list if you'd like to find out about any open seated tours for just small groups or couples, things like that. So later in the season, I'll be hosting a few of those.
That's very flexible. Okay, speaking of your website, what is it? People get in touch with you.
Yeah, touronorion.com. And you can subscribe to my mailing list like I was talking about, or you can follow me on Facebook too. Sometimes, like I just had a call the other day, somebody has 3 seats open and they don't want to pay or have their friends pay for those 3 open seats that they don't have filled. So basically I'll put the feelers out there on Facebook or anybody that's on the subscription list and ask if anybody wants to go on a Thursday night. And normally, sometimes it's last minute, but a lot of locals here, live close by and can drop in for a tour.
Right. And they keep an eye on your Facebook page, which is what? Lake?
Yeah, it's the same. It's Tour on Orion.
Orion.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to
It's been a
the person
journey.
who brought that.
Had I thought like 15 years ago when I first started doing this, shaking like a leaf, reading little 3x5 cards, that it would turn into this. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the Prohibition
Yeah.
tour that you're gonna.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you for visiting it with us
Oh, well,
today.
thank you for so much for having me.
I appreciate hearing more about it. You know, we all speculate, well, I think you can do this and I think you could. So it's nice to get all the right information from you
Yeah.
and the history of Lake Orion. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Terry. All right, so Terry was just asking me how I acquired this beautiful piece of stained glass artwork here, and it actually came out of the restaurant that you might know here in Lake Orion that closed a few years ago, from Christie's Bar and Grill. And it's actually off of this historical photo that was taken of the main landing in about 1900. This was really what set the stage for Lake Orion. And we have the train tracks and the trolley line here that came up. This is now M24, and the main landing is now what is considered Greens Park. And you would walk underneath these arches and get on your ferry boat and be whisked away on your picnic excursion or your ferry boat ride for the day, or just rent a boat and go off to your cottage. I'm so happy that I ended up getting this beautiful piece of artwork here, and I got to preserve this and keep it in Lake Orion. It took 4 guys to carry it in here, and it took like a week to install it. Neighbors joked that we were digging a hole over to their house because it literally goes into the wall by this much. We had it lit with LED lighting and just updated it that way. It used to be lit by neon. But it's several pieces of glass and it's about that thick.
If you like to spend time in the outdoors, then there's a good chance you could come across a young fawn. And normally, young fawns are found alone because their mothers place them there to be safe. A young fawn has very little scent, and the mother will only come in just a couple times a day in order to feed it, and leaves quickly so that she doesn't leave behind her scent. So if you find a young fawn curled up in the grass, that's actually the safest place for it to be. Enjoy that moment, but don't touch it or move it. The mother will be back soon. Only licensed rehabilitators can legally possess wildlife, so please leave wildlife in the wild. For a list of licensed rehabilitators throughout the state, visit michigan.gov/wildlife.
Today I'm sitting with a cookie lady, a cookier.
A cookier.
I didn't even know there was cookiers. This is Michelle Thomas, who's here to talk to us about your cookie business. So Michelle, you brought some samples, but first tell us a little bit, how did you get into making cookies? Give me a little story.
I used to do cakes for friends. I love playing with fondant. It's like a edible Play-Doh. And I retired. And went to a supplier that I knew to get some special shortening that it takes for cakes and for flowers and stuff. And she looked at me and said, "You need to do cookies."
Really?
I said, "Really?" Yeah.
So she saw some talent in you that she wanted to see in cookies.
Right. So I took that, started thinking about it, and I'm self-taught. I got into the cookies. I'm still doing cakes.
Okay.
I also do cupcakes.
Is this something new?
This is new. I'm a self-taught, we're a cookier, called a cookier.
I've never sat next to a cookier before. This is kind of a treat for me.
Yeah, treats. Speaking of treats, we have treats.
Yep.
I'm a self-taught cookier. It's been almost, I want to say it was almost painful in the beginning, but I kept at it. And I brought some samples of cookies that I've made.
Could you,
for your enjoyment.
While you're at sample time, could you hold up these? And I like the folks who are watching to see, tell just a little bit about what these cookies are, because these are works of art. This is just not cookies. This is works of art. Can you hold them up and show us a little bit about it?
I can. I did some special for Father's Day. We have a cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
A cheeseburger. And then what goes better with cheeseburger than a hot dog? So we had cheeseburgers and hot dogs.
I can even help.
And then, still on Father's Day, we have the beer mug with the frothy beer on the top.
There may be fathers who drink beer too.
There are.
Yeah, sorry.
I did have a little girl one weekend say that she wanted to buy a root beer, and I told her it was root beer.
Root beer, yep. All right.
So, and then getting off the Father's Day theme, I had other things. I had a grill, I had the mustache, I had like the #1 foam finger that said #1 dad on it. Those all sold, so I didn't have anything to bring. So then I tried to pick whatever holiday is coming or Hallmark holiday, like Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever, but we have 4th of July coming up, so I have some 4th of July cookies in the works, and to fill in the gaps around that, I make cookies. These are some ice cream cones that I made. Vanna, would you be so kind to?
Hi. I'm thrilled to be here today. You've got a cone, you've got white icing, you've got purple, you've got pink, you've got sparkles on top, and all these are things you have to put together.
Yes.
This must take a lot of time.
These type of cookies takes me a full day of baking, and then a very full day of mixing icings and coloring icings and getting icings to different consistencies that you need to do different things with, and then bagging each one individually. So it'll take me a day for baking, a day to mix and color and get my icings done, and then I'm ready to play from there.
You just squirrel and squirt and squirt.
Yeah,
and
well, yeah, you have to kind of have a plan on what you're doing. Yeah.
So you're not just squirrel and squirt.
No, it's not a squirrel and squirt. No, there's a plan, and there's a certain, this is the unicorn that I did.
Ooh, I like this.
That was a big hit with the little girls.
On this one, how long might it take from whatever the base is to finish up your marvelous artwork?
First, you have to flood the white. You do the white, the total cookie in white, and then the rest is the decorations, which would be the next day.
Yep.
You have to let the base harden for a night.
Got it.
And then you can start from there with your decorations, and then the unicorn's horn I hand paint with a gold edible.
Would there be any other way? I mean, that's a great way.
I've never done anything easy.
So where could people, to kind of run to the chase here, where could people get these amazing looking cookies from you?
I have not advertised per se yet. I am here at the farm markets most Saturdays, not every Saturday, but I do have a phone number and an email for, it's Fancy Frosting, and it's fancyfrostingllc@gmail.com. If you have an idea of what you'd like, say you wanted a set for a 4-year-old girl's birthday party, I'm sorry I don't have sets to show you because I've done more farm markets, but I'd be happy to look at what your ideas are and come up with ideas to go with that and then present that to you. You're not, I'd be very happy to do that.
So could they call you on the phone?
They can.
What phone number do you use?
It's 810-338-7507.
Okay, we'll put that on
And my name is Michelle again.
Michelle. Well, Michelle, thank you so much. This is great. I think the folks here at our studio might be looking forward to sampling some of these cookies, I believe.
These are here for you.
Excellent. We thank you so much for coming in.
You're most welcome.
And so farmers markets here and there and there. You said a balloon festival too,
I'm going to be at the Metamora Balloon Festival at the Metamora Lioness Club on Saturday the 26th from 11 to 9.
Got it. So they can bring the balloon down, get a cookie from you, and then go back up in the air.
Well, I'm planning on I've been working on ideas for balloon cookies for over a year.
Excellent.
And pictures of the actual balloons that are launched from the site.
Oh, good.
And I'm planning on having actual balloon hot air balloon cookies that match some of the balloons that launch at the site.
Marketing is everything. All right.
Yes.
So Michelle, the cookie lady, a cookier, right?
A cookier.
I'm honored to be with a cookier. So this is Chuck Cameron. Thank you very much, Michelle.
Thank you for asking.
Saying we hope you are having a great day today from Oxford Community TV.
Hope you're having a sweet day.
Thank you very much. All right, that's good.
Hi, I'm Leslie Serenisi, the animal communicator from I Speak to Animals. You're watching OCTV.
One's name is Helen, and she is albino. She was also born with no eyes. We're gonna walk around with both of them. If you guys do want to hold them, we can do it super quickly, just like midnight. You might not get to see both of them, but they are the same name, so make sure everyone sees at least one. Because our hairs will make you itchy.
Oh my God, that's so scary.
He is a corn snake. And then we are also going to pull out Irwin. Irwin is a blue tongue snake. So he has a bright blue tongue that you can bulge like a balloon. He'll stick it out a bunch for you guys so you guys can see it as they walk along. These guys are red-footed tortoises. You can tell tortoise from turtle because tortoises are land only. Turtles are water and land. And so this is Victor. Victor is an American alligator. You just can't touch his head, obviously. So you can touch him on his back and his tail, but I need all of your fingers, toes, and noses to stay away from his mouth. Alligators cannot do salt water whatsoever, so they kind of live, American alligators, I would say. But they do not live in salt water. It's only fresh water and swamps. So it's really, really cool to see these guys in their natural habitat.
What type of python is it?
He's just albino Burmese python.
Ah, okay. He's cool.
We just wanted to thank all of the Oxford community families for allowing your children to attend this year's summer SEL. We still have 1 week left for high school and middle school. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. Wednesday will be a all-district event for any students K through 12th grade. It's a movie night. We'll have food, a video game truck, DJ, a photo booth, and lots of fun for students and their families. We look forward to seeing you there.
Hello, we are from the Reptarium. We are at Oxford High School today. We just did a 2-hour presentation with about 16 different reptiles and amphibians. We are located in Utica, Michigan. You can look up on reptarium.com to get more info. We are open Thursday through Sunday to the public, and we are a very, very interactive reptile zoo. So you guys can come in, pet lots and lots of really cool animals. We have lots of rare species and things like that, and it's always a blast. Just like this guy right here. Yeah.